This bulletin is brought to you by Good Morning Vihalia. Enjoy the warmth and indulge in the deliciousness.
Good morning, good morning.
Salam Sejahtera and good evening. I'm Prasad Michael and you're watching KiniFlash. Former Prime Minister Najib Abdul Razak was today charged for abuse of power and 3 counts of criminal breach of trust over allegations that he had received 42 million ringgit from SRC International. The former Prime Minister pleaded not guilty when the charges were read out to him before High Court Judge Sofian Abdul Razak. He claimed trial to all charges and the trial judge set bail at 1 million ringgit. He was allowed to leave after his family members managed to post half the sum. Before returning to his residence, which is just 2.5 kilometers away from the courts, Najib spoke to the press. This is what he said.
Di mana diketahui hari ini saya telah didakwa secara resmi. Sesuatu yang saya telah janjikan kerana itulah kehendak kerajaan baru. Dan kalau inilah harga yang saya terpaksa bayar kerana 42 tahun saya berkhidmat untuk rakyat dan negara, maka kalau inilah harga yang terpaksa saya bayar, saya reda. Apa yang saya sangat harap dan doakan bahawa proses keadilan merupakan proses yang benar-benar adil, mengikut rule of law dalam erti kata yang sebenar. Saya yakin insyaAllah atas ketidaksalahan saya, I believe in my innocence. Ini adalah peluang yang terbaik untuk saya membersihkan nama saya secara tuntas telah didomah dan dituduh dengan begitu berat sekali. Hari ini hakim telah membuat keputusan bahawa ada gag order atas kes ini. Jadi saya menghormati keputusan hakim dan saya tak boleh bercakap lebih daripada itu. Saya suka mengambil kesempatan ini mengucap terima kasih kepada pihak SPRM dan pasukan keselamatan kerana telah memberi layanan yang baik kepada saya dan telah menghormati saya sebagai bekas penyidik. Mudah-mudahan proses ini berjalan dengan baik. InsyaAllah saya harap rakyat bertenang, menyokong saya bertenang. Saya juga kagum dengan kehadiran mereka untuk memberi sokongan moral pada saya, walaupun saya tidak buat sesuatu gerakan, tapi mereka telah datang dengan penuh kerelaan hati. Saya ucap terima kasih dan mudah-mudahan apa yang saya hasratkan secara pribadi, Allah akan memakbulkan doa saya dan hajat.
Najib's lawyer Muhammad Shafi Abdullah expressed unhappiness that he was only given the charge sheet and no other document, including Najib's caution statement. He deems this improper and says it undermines his client's right to a fair trial. Shafi will seek to remove Attorney General Tommy Thomas from leading the prosecution.
Normally it is us who ask for the delay because we are taken by surprise. But you will note it is a prosecution who asked for delay of 1 month for a mere mention. And as I've said, and I'm very serious about this, you will not realize the seriousness of what I said this morning until you become an accused person. If you are an accused person or your loved one become an accused person, you will suddenly remember me and say, well, Tan Sri Shafi said the right thing because it hits you right in the nose. If you don't have document given to you, to see the detailed allegation, how are you going to defend yourself? In civil proceeding, you exchange pleadings, you exchange documents. For months and months, you exchange, you do interrogation, you do discovery, all that. Why? Because you want to know what is the other's case, and the other want to know what is your case. So everything is thrashed out. Can you imagine? That is civil, just pure money judgment. But when your life is at stake, you can be hanged, you can be sent to 20 years imprisonment, you can be sent to 10 years imprisonment. The Attorney General today said, well, there is a provision 51A. We are only supposed to give you before the trial. But he doesn't understand, before the trial means reasonably before the trial. But the Interpretation Act says, whenever time is not given, you act as speedily as possible. Not, in 1 week's trial you give it to me. What am I going to do? Well, I have to ask for adjournment. So, I told you today this morning, when I went to Brisbane defending Tan Sri Muhammad Taib, it is a country we all were scared because we thought it is anti-Asian. They call it a redneck country. It is not. When I went there, when Muhammad Taib was charged, the very day he was charged, the DPP came with the IO and gave me a stack of this much paper and said, this is the paper that we have got to introduce and we will prove the case through this. On the same day. Now, when they charged my client today, you would have thought, you must be ready. After all, Tan Sri Gani Patel and his gang said, well, we were ready in 2015 July. If you're ready in 2015 July, how come you're not ready today? And why did it take so long to charge? So it tells you something else. That the attempt to so-called charge him in 2015 was a little suspicious. If it is true. If it is true that there was an attempt to charge him.
He also criticized the 1MDB task force for issuing a statement saying that the former premier would be charged today. Shafi said he agreed with the Malaysian bar president who questioned the legality of the task force in coming out with the statement.
This is one occasion I 100% agree with the bar council. No, I don't know what the task force is doing. There is no such thing as a task force that should advise the Attorney General. The Attorney General under Article 1453 has got his sole discretion. Nobody can even question it. Not even the court can question his discretion. But now it looks as though, from what the Bar Council has been saying, the Attorney General is being dictated by a task force of 4 men. That's not constitutional. That's in fact totally illegal. And I am disturbed by it. I'm very disturbed by it. And the constituent of the 4 members, they are people in the previous regime. They have done investigation. People in the previous regime, that was the Attorney General. People like that who are already in some way or other tainted somewhat. Okay? I'm not saying tainted in a bad way, but they are tainted and they may have a prejudgment. So why are these people in the task force supervising the Attorney General? I've never seen this before.
Previous regime, are you referring to the Najib's administration?
Well, during Najib's administration, I remember Gani Patil set up a task force. And I remember an opinion being given to the Attorney General, to the Prime Minister, that a task force set up without the sanction of the Cabinet is illegal. Because under 1452, tadi I kata 3 kan, 1452, any special task to be given to the Attorney General must be given either by the Prime Minister or the Cabinet through another minister. So it has got to be sanctioned by a member of the government. That task force was not sanctioned.
Attorney General Tommy Thomas has assured the public that former Premier Najib Abdul Razak will be given a fair trial.
Supporters say the case is political persecution. What's your comment? What's your response on that?
Well, that's not our position. I mean, we as far as we are concerned, it was the same. I'm backed by a very strong DPP's office. The Attorney General's Chambers is the largest law office in the country. They've had a distinguished history of prosecution, more than 100 years. And I've got 11 members of the team working with me. And as far as we are concerned, we just look at it from a criminal law perspective. It doesn't matter who the personality is. It is just criminal law.
The press conference you just saw took place on the 5th floor after Tommy Thomas had abandoned his plan to hold a press conference at the lobby because Najib supporters started heckling when he addressed the media in English.
But you just need to increase your volume.
Menjerit. Pembuat. Tarik keluar. Tarik keluar.
Bahasa kebangsaan adalah bahasa Malaysia. Jadi peguam negara kena pakai bahasa Melayu. Bahasa Melayu Malaysia.
Jerit kat luar.
The AG was asked about what you just saw. This is what he had to say.
You respond to the scenes of pandemonium that just unfolded downstairs.
A little surprised. Well, I think with hindsight, we should have come out here and spoken to you folks here because that would have been most convenient. But we went down and the rest is history, as they say. But hopefully it's recorded for posterity. It's recorded for posterity. It's probably online. Everybody can make their own mind up. But it was sad because we couldn't answer questions. It became difficult. We were quite happy to answer questions, but it must be in a civilized fashion. That's all we ask. We're happy to answer.
A group of Najib supporters, led by UMNO leader Tun Faisal Ismail Aziz, locked horns with the police at the Jalan Duta Court complex after a police officer reprimanded Tun Faisal as the latter attempted to rally the crowd to sing.
nyanyi ya, sudah menjadi. Ini bukan karaoke, ini mahkamah lah.
We will end today's episode with a portion of Najib's exclusive interview with Malaysia Kini last week. Based on what he said, he kind of saw this coming. I'm Prasad Michael, thank you for watching.
Well, I think what is important is the rule of law in this country, because I think it goes beyond personalities. I think what Malaysians want to see is the rule of law not only being said, but to be practiced. So that people have this conviction and faith that we have a transparent and fair system in place. So this is not a test about me, it's a test about the system. Whether the system can reflect that, the trust that people must have in the system. The system should not be, unduly influenced or manipulated in any way that to raise doubts about the integrity of the system. I believe in my innocence. Therefore, the only way that I can clear my name is through a system that's fair and system that is predicated on the clear meaning, the true meaning of the rule of law.
Assuming that there's a trial, do you think that you're going to get a fair trial?
I cannot say so one way or the other, but I'm hoping, because this is a test, as I said, the test of the Malaysia that we want. A Malaysia that can rely on its institutions, a system of justice, law. No one is guilty until proven guilty, and everybody has a chance to prove himself under the system.
And that was the Malaysia promise to us?
That's the Malaysia promise to us, yes. I had no idea. I had no inclination and no desire to leave the country. All I wanted was a short holiday with my family. Even that was deprived, you see. That was the only reason I wanted to go away.
Never planned that you leave the country?
No, I mean, once you leave the country, it's a presumption of guilt. And you're a fugitive for the rest of your life. I'm not prepared for that, because this is the country. This is my country. I'm not going to leave this country. I'm still welcome and well-liked in certain sectors. And certain sectors probably have the opposite feeling towards me. But I welcome the chance to try to clear my name. That's important for me. If there's any future, it would be to clear my name, because I believe in my innocence. And I hope the public will not prejudge me, because there's a lot of slander and a lot of things being said, even though I'm no longer in office. Hopefully, the public will be fair and judge me for also the good things I've done for the country. I mean, in the 9 years, I presided over the longest bull run in the country, the KLSC. It's from 850 to 118. It's not been a spectacular bull run. It's been a slow but steady increase, which is more sustainable. I've also, presided over a management economy which prevented 2 recessions from taking place. One in 2008, 2009, I primed the economy twice. 66 billion was injected, and we, from a negative growth, became positive. And when the oil price collapsed 2.5 years ago, we should have been in recession and commodity prices. Yet, because of our policies and because of GST, we've managed to recover, you see. And my concern about removing GST or zero-rated GST is that you don't have the buffer. You don't have the revenue. If this external economy is weak, you do not have the buffer, a fiscal position, space, to increase domestic demand. to prevent another recession from taking place. I believe in short-term pain for long-term gains. Unfortunately, the Pakatan wanted short-term gains, but, well, you lose that fiscal space, to have that reserve capacity in case the external economy weakens. And it's not impossible for us within 1 year to be in recession. And that's why this GST zero-rated removal is a huge mistake for the country. Well, I think basically they shouldn't continue this path of blaming the previous government, you see, for everything. Because I think the script is that because of our management, and of course they accuse me and the government of corruption and all that, which is preposterous. I mean, to the extent of the accusation, saying that our debt reached 1 trillion when actually it's 686, and all the international rating agencies maintain that 686, you see. Even Bank Negara maintains 686, but they keep on talking about 1 trillion, which has spooked the market. So now I think for more than almost 48, 49 days now, the market is on a downturn. There's been net selling between.
But that could be also, outside influences.
Yeah, it could be outside, but the selling, the net selling, has been on a sustained basis, and it's the worst performing stock market. So, when you're in opposition, you make a statement, and when you're in government, there are two totally different things. When you're in a government, you have to shore up confidence, and I think I'd like them to focus more on doing better than even the BN government. I mean, they came in saying they can do better. I think they should show they can do better, and I think the people would welcome that. But just to take a very negative line, blaming, but not creating something new. I mean, cancelling projects is a no-brainer. I mean, you can cancel, you can defer. It's a no-brainer, but can you create something better? That's the challenge. What is it that they will do that will be better? I think that's what Malaysians want. And I said the second part is to fulfill their promise to the rakyat.
Malaysia's first multi-grain brand, the champion is Good Morning.